Hello, this is Samuel Guy in Hawaii, and Epic NNG recently released two videos on loot farming. One describing how things will change come Borderlands 4, and then a second addressing some confusion on the part of some viewers about the first video. I was one of those confused viewers, and Epic actually provided me with a whole bunch of information clearing up the confusion even before he released that second video. Many thanks again for that. Both videos are linked in the description below. Here's the thing though. I am not a programmer, although I at least understand programming on a basic level. I am, however, a numbers guy and a probability guy. Probability and RNG in games, especially Borderlands, has always interested me, and with that in mind, and Epic's clarifications, and hearing one content provider after another repeating how much better this new system will be, which is getting annoying, I went back and looked at the numbers and did some math and thought about it, and I came to the conclusion that while it is an important change that will probably affect player quality of life overall in the long run, in terms of how players experience day-to-day specific item loot farming, it may not have the massive effect some claim it will. It actually may have almost no discernible effect. Okay, here's why. These are the two systems side by side. In the BL3 system, we have a chance to access a source's loot pool first, and then if that happens, a chance at one, but only one of two or more items in that pool. In the BL4 system, there is no loot pool chance, just a separate chance at each and every item in the pool. In the first instance, the game spins a wheel, and then based on that result, may spin a second wheel. In the second instance, the game just spins two or more separate wheels. Okay, now under the first system, we can never get more than one specific item on the same run. In the second instance, we can. This ability to drop multiple items at once is the basis for the argument that the second system is better, because under the first system, the item that does drop effectively prevents any other items in the pool from dropping. This is technically a valid argument. However, when applied to most situations in Borderlands 3, it's actually irrelevant. Okay, the most common setup in Borderlands 3 is a designated loot source with a 2-item loot pool, each item with an individual drop chance of 15% as listed in loot limit. Okay, there are about 50 sources like this. There are also something like 17 3-item loot pools with an individual item drop chance of 10%. Let's just look at the 2-item pools. Okay, what's actually going on in these instances is that the percentage chance to access the pool is 30%. We have a 3 in 10 chance whenever we defeat that enemy to access its loot pool. If we do that, then we have a 50% chance, 1 in 2, of getting one of 2 items, or 33%, 1 in 3 to get 1 of 3. Okay, 3 in 10 times 1 in 2 equals 3 in 20, or 0.15, or 15%. That's how that works. This is what Epic means when he says loot lemon does the work, does the math for us. That's how we get 50% for each in Borderlands 3. In Borderlands 4, this same example would spin a separate wheel for each item, each with a 50% chance. Okay, so again, under this system where we must access the loot pool first and then spin again to see what actually drops, we can never get more than one loot pool item at a time. Under this system, we can get both items at once. However, the odds of getting both to drop at the same time here is 15% of 15%, or 0.15 times 0.15, which equals 0.0225, or 2.25%. 2.25% is roughly 1 chance in 44. Okay, 15% is roughly 1 chance in 7. So, in the time it would take for us to see both these drop together over here, on average once every 44 runs, we would see on average 6 of each of these drop under either system. Okay, assuming we're not looking for a specific variant, we'd get what we wanted long before we'd ever see both items drop together. The idea that one item prevents the other from dropping over here, given the actual drop chance, is really an illusion. It's subjective. We want one thing, but we get the other, so we get upset. Looked at another way, if this loot pool only had one item, not two, but the same 50% drop rate, we'd still see the same number of drops we would over time as when 2 items were in the pool with a pool chance of 30%. We just would not have what we judge as a distraction of the other item we don't want. Okay, 50% is 15% either way. There is no real difference. We just tell ourselves there is a difference when things don't go the way we want. Okay. Now, what all these instances have in common in BL3, these 2-item loot pools, these 3-item loot pools, and even most of these 1-item loot pools, is that the chance to get nothing is at least twice as great as the chance to get something, much less any one specific thing. Okay, In 2 or 3 item loot pools with a 30% chance to get something, the chance to get nothing is 70%. And it's that 70% chance that makes the idea of one item eating up another's chance not really a thing. Okay, this is not, though, the way it always works. There are instances where that chance to get nothing is so small and or the individual drop chance is so high that yes, one item can definitely feel like it's acing out others. Okay, the best example for that is Proving Grounds. Every Proving Grounds boss has two item loot pools, one with a pair of class mods and another with a pair of guns. The class mod pool is in effect during a normal trial run. The gun pool is in effect during a true trial run. In either case, each item, according to Loot Lemon, has a 50% drop chance. Okay, Proving Grounds are time-consuming farms that normally require effective end-game quality builds. That's ostensibly why those drop chances are so high, to reward us for our efforts. But assuming these bosses use the existing loot pool chance system, okay, that model, that means the chances of accessing each specific pool per run is 100%. Meaning the game doesn't even need to spin a wheel. Now, I've been led to believe this is not the case. It's supposedly possible to farm a Proving Grounds boss and get neither of them. But let's assume the pool chance is 100%, and we always get one or the other, but never both. Okay, this is definitely a case where one drop prevents the other, eats up the chance for the other in the short run. Okay, what do I mean by in the short run? If we run a normal Trial of Fervor 100 times, we will get roughly equal numbers of Phase Zerkers and Shocker Raiders. We may get 40 of one and 60 of another, but we will see plenty of both in the long run. That's how probability works. But let's say we don't want to run it 100 times. We just want a Phase Zerker. Any will do. We run the trial and beat the hag 5 times for that Phase Zerker, and she drops us 5 Shocker Raiders. That pisses us off because getting the Shocker Raider means not getting the Phase Zerker. Now, it's actually not that unusual for this sort of thing to happen. I did 2 previous videos on probability in BL3. They are linked in the comments. In the first, I ran an experiment where I flipped a coin, a nickel, 100 times and recorded the results. The odds of getting heads or tails is the same as getting a Phase Zerker or Shocker Raider from the Hag of Fervor, 50-50. Okay? Out of 100 flips, I got exactly 50 heads and 50 tails. I got lucky. Okay, but that's not what's significant. What's significant is that in the course of those 100 flips, I got streaks of 2, 3, 4, even 5 heads or tails in a row. And in one instance, I got 7 tails in a row. So 5 Shocker Raiders in a row instead of Phase Zerkers is no different than 5 heads in a row or 5 tails. It's not that we ran it 5 times and got the wrong thing. It's that we ran what is not a short, easy farm 5 times and got the wrong thing. Okay, I can farm Captain Trot in under a minute. A Proving Grounds run can take me as much as 10 to 15 minutes. So after an hour to an hour and a half of farming the hag, I still don't have a Phase Zerker. That's frustrating to the same degree that 5 minutes of farming Captain Tron is not. Now, would things turn out differently if the Phase Zerker and Shocker Raider had separate chances, separate spins of their own wheels? Almost certainly. Okay, the odds of getting 5 Shocker Raiders in a row under the old system is 1 in 32. On the new system, with separate spins for each class mod, the odds of getting 5 Shocker Raiders in a row and no Phase Zerkers is 1 in 32 times 1 in 32, or just over 1 in 1,000. Okay, it would be incredibly rare to farm the hag 5 times under the BL4 setup and not get at least 1 of each com. So again, though, it's still a subjective thing, but yes, there are times when this new system could make the loot farming experience feel better than it was or is in BL3, but we're forgetting something important here. We are applying this model to BL3 and speculating how it will improve things when that's not what's going to happen. We are not talking about BL3, but rather BL4. 2 important things to understand about BL4 when it comes to loot farming. Number 1, BL4 will be the first time we see a large number of farmable enemies with designated uniques assigned to the loot pools at launch. Okay, it took 2 months for that to happen in BL3, and I don't know how long it took in BL2. In any case, that will be very significant. Probably not on day 1, but give the die-hard pros a week to finish the game and side quest and experiment and start making builds, and then yeah, it should be pretty cool. Number 2, though, we do not know at this point how many farmable enemies and unique farmable items there will be in the game at launch or down the road. So we don't know how those things will be distributed. Maybe a lot of enemies will have 2 and 3 item pools, or maybe not. Maybe single item loot pools will be the norm. We do not know. So is this a change? Is this change a big deal? Yes, I believe it is, but not because of the multi-item pool issue. Not because we will get a better loot farming experience from it. Trust me, people will still get pissed off at what they perceive as too low drop rates. It will happen. Okay. What this new system will do is make it faster and easier and more efficient for Gearbox to make changes, to tweak things, to be more responsive to explicit and implicit player feedback. If they see that a particular item is too hard or too easy to get, they can just tweak the drop chance on that item without worrying about how it might affect other items in the pool, which is the real problem with the older system. Under that older system, if we add an item to a 2-item pool, so it now has 3, and each item still has an equal chance of dropping, each item's overall drop chance goes from 15% to 10% each. Okay, if we want each to still have a 15% chance, we actually have to increase the loot pool chance from 30% to 45%. Same goes for removing an item. It's not that hard to do, but it can get complicated. And in situations where Gearbox wants items to have a high drop chances, it can be a real problem. Okay, so more responsiveness to conditions by Gearbox because faster and easier changes on the new system, meaning better overall play experience in the long run. Good change, yes. Massive change that you and I as players will notice. Not as much. Again, I do think things will feel different on launch. But again, a lot of that's going to be because, unlike Borderlands 2 or 3, we're going to have, for the first time, widespread designated drop sources for a majority of Phoenix at launch. That's going to be game-changing. And the ability to tweak those easily would just make it better. If you like this kind of content, like, subscribe, comment. Stay safe. Thanks for watching.